How's it going, everybody? So today I went on a nice little overnight bike packing trip, and I wanted to share with you my thoughts on the Rockbros bike bags that I did a sort of overview on in a previous video. Having now been able to actually use them for their intended purpose, having packed them, unpacked them, repacked them, I think I can give you some good information as to whether or not I recommend these bags. So in this video, we're going to quickly go over the sort of pros and cons or things I like and gripes I might have about these bags. Then I'm going to go ahead and bike back home, and then I'll unpack the bags to sort of show you how I pack them to give you an idea of how much you could realistically fit inside these bags. So what do I like about these bags? Well, first of all, I think the quality is great, especially for the price. You are getting high quality bags for a very affordable entry level price. If you're the kind of person who doesn't know if you're going to enjoy bike packing, or you got invited on a trip and you don't have anything with you, this is a great first set of bags, and they're going to last you a long time. I did have these bags sort of left out overnight, in which they got some frost on them, and they're sold as waterproof and no water got in them. So I have to say that claim holds up very well. Mounting these bags is a straightforward ordeal. Everything just attaches in a sort of obvious manner, and as I showed you in the previous video, it took me just about 4 or 5 minutes to get all the bags on the bike. And as you get more experience using these bags, you should be able to knock that down even further. The pockets are well thought out. The frame bag here has double-sided pockets, which I like. The front bag has double openings, which makes it nice and easy. And then this rear bag here is, it's just a big bag. You can shove stuff into it just fine. And it held all of my stuff. I was able to carry all my sleeping gear, all my cooking gear, spare clothes, some fishing gear, really everything I could have needed fit in these bags without any sort of issues whatsoever. If I do have any gripes with these bags, and like I said, overall, I'm very happy with these bags. I would recommend them to anyone looking to get into bike packing or wanting an affordable set of bags, either as a loaner set or, just like I said, your first set of bike packing bags. I do have a few minor gripes, that being said. The first one is that with the saddlebag here, other bags like the Toe Peak backloader, which I also own, have a sort of inner bag with an air valve, which allows you to really compress everything down before you shove it into the sort of bigger saddlebag. I do prefer that. It probably wouldn't add all that much cost to add just an interior dry bag, a couple extra bucks on the manufacturing end. But it does make it really easy to pack everything, because you don't have to take this whole bag off the bike. You just take the inner bag off, pack everything, and then put it back on, right? And you can sort of squeeze the air out a little bit better, given that it has that air valve, and you can really sort of put your weight into it. So that is one thing that I think would make the saddlebag a little bit better. The second thing I don't love about the saddlebag is that there is a sort of metal piece that pokes through the inside of the saddlebag where it connects to the mounting bracket over here. And I haven't had any issues, but, if you have something in there like a down sleeping bag or a down jacket that's kind of rubbing up against it, I might be a little bit worried about that. Again, it didn't damage any of my stuff. I had my sleeping pad up against it and my cook set, which was fine. But that is just something to keep in mind, and something maybe Rockbros could consider for their next iteration. The clasp system used for the front bag is really nice. I like those sort of one-sided sort of hook clasps that you can then tighten down really quickly. It makes for a really quick and easy way to attach the bags, detach the bags, open the bags, close the bags, whatever. I do like that quite a bit. My one minor gripe with these is that I did find that over the course of my ride, I would have to re-tighten them a few times. It's not like they came completely loose, but I did see the little front bag start to sag just a tiny little bit, and so I would just have to pull on the straps to get it tight again. Some manufacturers have sort of little teeth manufactured into the little hooks, which might prevent the actual straps from sliding down. And again, it wasn't like they were coming completely loose, but I did have to tighten them a few times, so just something to keep in mind. But despite those few minor gripes, I have to say these bags are really quite solid, and I've really enjoyed using them so far. This has been a fun bikepacking trip, and these bags have made it easy to get out there and do a quick one-nighter, and yeah. So let's go ahead, head back to the house, and then I will unpack all of the bags and show you how I pack them, just to give you an idea of how much stuff you can fit into this 4-bag setup. All right, so I just got back from my bikepacking trip, and I want to give you a quick rundown of the bags, my thoughts on them, and then obviously I'll show you what's in them to sort of give you an idea of how much you could actually realistically fit in these bags if you were going to look at them as an option for bikepacking. I'll go each bag one by one. I'll tell you my overall thoughts on the bag, and then I'll show you what's in it, and then I'll give you sort of a final concluding thought at the end as to whether or not I think these bags would be a good purchase based on a variety of different factors. So let's get into the bags. So starting off with the saddle bag that we have here. Now, first thing is you'll notice here I put my sandals, my Tevas, on this little drawstring thing. I do like when bags have these, although I did lose these sandals on the trail and had to double back. Unfortunately, after about a half mile when I realized it, this sort of elastic drawstring essentially just popped open at a certain point going down a sort of steep descent. To remedy it, I sort of tied a knot onto the end of it so it couldn't pull through, but it did. It did loosen over time. So something to keep in mind, because I do think a lot of people put, camp shoes on the back of these little drawstrings. So it worked, but you definitely have to make sure that it's on tight enough and be careful not to not to lose your shoes, because that was not a fun realization. Okay, so that being said, opening up the main compartment here. So here I had some spare socks. I had my down jacket for camp, and then I had my sleeping bag, all of which sort of shoved down into there pretty well. Obviously, there is a stuff sack for this. I usually like to just sort of shove them into the bag, although again, with this bag without that sort of interior stuff sack that you can sort of compress, probably would have been a smarter choice to actually use the stuff sack included with this sleeping bag. My cook kit. Okay, so I have a I have a Snow Peak 700 milliliter pot, and then inside it I have my stove, fuel, lighter, etc., etc. And then finally I have my sleeping pad, Nemo Tensor insulated, and that's it for this bag. And this has a pretty good capacity, as you can see, right? My entire sleep system pretty much, along with the down jacket, spare clothes, cook system. This fits a good amount of stuff, given, it is a pretty big bag, so you can fit a lot of stuff in there. And overall this worked well, although it did start to swing on me a little bit, and this will be kind of a theme with this review, is that these clasps, or these sort of straps here, as you pull them to tighten them down, because they aren't the sort of locking ones that you can sort of lock back over the sort of webbing, they worked themselves loose over time. Now, it wasn't completely loose where it was falling off, but I was getting a little bit of that swaying after going down some of the steeper descents on the route I did today. So something to keep in mind, this might be a bag setup more for smoother trails or for the road, but I'll get more into that in just a minute. All right, next up, the middle bag, the frame bag. And I gotta say, this was probably the bag that I thought worked the best out of all of them. It mounts very easily, it has a good amount of capacity, zipper feels nice and solid, super waterproof. I did get a little bit of rubbing on the frame, although most bike packing bags do that. I did put some frame protection on the top tube, but I didn't put any on the down tube, so I may add some just for the next bike packing trip to not completely chew through my paint. But in this bag, I had my water filtration system, so a dirty water bag and then a Sawyer Mini filter. I had a spare tripod, a mini one, which I didn't end up using all that much, but nice to have. My pillow, and then even though I didn't actually fish this time, I did bring a fishing rod, a collapsible one, which fits in here nicely. So that all fits into this little frame bag, and I had space to spare too. I actually had my beanie in here too. I took it off because I was wearing it, but just any sort of like miscellaneous clothes, I just threw it in here just to make sure things weren't rattling around, but I had a good amount of storage here. All right, next up, the front bag, the handlebar bag. You have a dual opening either side, so you can open it whichever way you want. But here, I have basically the rest of my sleep system. So I have my footprint for my tent, I have my tent, and then I have my tent stakes, all of which fit in here just fine. So that was nice. And then I have my telephoto lens, which I kept in this little protective zipper case, and then I put it in here, and I thought that was plenty safe enough. So that worked out just fine. Then I have my thermal top as a camp shirt, and finally just a few more camp clothing. So I have some spare boxers, I have some tights, and I have some shorts, and all of that went into my handlebar bag. I definitely had a little more space to fill this out if I wanted to. There was still space on both ends, but everything I needed to fit in there fit in just fine. So yeah, I was happy with this. It didn't bounce around much on the front of the handlebar. The little foam blocks here did a good job of keeping it away from the handlebar and away from the brake hoses. And yeah, I was overall happy with this front bag. Hi, Eleanor. Do you want to be in the video too? Okay, you can be in the video too. Okay, and then the final bag is the front bag here. Now this was both my favorite as well as the most frustrating of the bags that I had in this setup here. So what I like about it, first of all, is that it's just super easy to open and close, right? It has this little hook right here, hook clasp, and you just, roll it down, roll it open, super waterproof, everything worked out just the way it should. And it was a great bag for just sort of miscellaneous odds and ends or things that you might want to be able to grab quickly. And it holds a lot of stuff. Now, part of the problem may have been because I overfilled it, so there's a potential chance that this is on me. But my big gripe with this was that it kept sort of loosening on the front bag. The two straps that you sort of connect it to, which come off of the handlebar bag, over time, going down anything sort of loose or bumpy or steep, they would just sort of work themselves loose, which is obviously not ideal because I had to keep stopping to tighten them down. A lot of manufacturers use sort of locking clasps. So like on the webbing, there's a little like lock that you can sort of put down once you tighten it the way you want it to keep it where it is. That would have probably been a good choice. Although, like I said, I do have quite a bit of stuff in here, so I guess it is possible that I just overfilled it. But, a lot of other bags I have don't do that, so that is kind of an annoying thing that I noticed, because especially on that long descent I finished the ride with, I had to stop every like 2 or 3 minutes just to tighten it back down. Or if it really loosened itself, it would start to buzz my front wheel, which at that point becomes a safety issue. So that was kind of my biggest gripe, my biggest complaint with this specific bag. But that being said, I had my headlamp in here. I had some various snacks just for on the trail. I had some fishing gear. Again, I didn't go fishing, but I could have. I had my fishing reel to go along with the rod. Another lure. I had my toiletries kit, so some lip balm, Advil, toothpaste, toothbrush, and just other miscellaneous first aid stuff. I had some more snacks for on the bike, and then I had my little fishing pliers and my pocket knife, and finally my Kindle for reading at the campsite. It held plenty of stuff, although it did start kind of working its way loose over time. So that was definitely an annoyance for me with this specific bag. All right, so all things considered, would I recommend these bags for bike packing? I'm gonna say yes, but, or yes, however. I would only recommend them if you're going to use them for smoother off-road bike packing or road bike packing, sort of like touring and stuff like that. The fact that both the saddle bag and the front kind of additional handlebar bag work themselves loose over time, going down bumpy stuff. On the first day, they were totally fine, right? The first day was mostly climbing. It was just a fire road up, fire road down, smooth, not bumpy, and everything stayed the way it should. So if you had asked me yesterday, I would have said 100%, even for mountain biking. Today, I'm going to say for mountain biking, these are probably not your best option if you're going to be doing bumpy, steep stuff. Because as I mentioned, having the bags come loose over time, even if not completely, it's still in the back of your mind as you're riding, which takes your mind off the trail, which can be a safety issue. Or if they do come loose and, get stuck in your wheel or get stuck in your spokes, that's obviously going to be a really big issue. And so for more kind of hardcore off-road riding, I would not personally recommend these. I do think there are better options out there, at least for the saddle bag and maybe for the additional handlebar bag. The frame bag I thought was great, and I thought the handlebar, the long, wide handlebar roll is great too. Those I would definitely recommend for mountain biking, gravel riding, road riding, whatever. But the saddle bag, I'd maybe look elsewhere, and then the additional sort of front pocket bag. Either I would not overstuff it with heavy stuff because that may have caused it to loosen up over time, or I might look for an additional option. But all in all, as a first bike packing bag setup, I do think they're a really good option for the price. If you're going to be doing stuff that's super bumpy, like I said, maybe look elsewhere. But if most of your riding is smooth or fire roads or on the road itself, then these are great. Honestly, I have no major qualms with them on those uses. The only issues I ran into was on the really bumpy, steep stuff downhill where they started working themselves a little bit loose. So would I recommend them? Yes, but it depends on your use case. But that's it. So if you have any questions about these specific bags, drop a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the video was informative, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.